I was telling our faithful listeners to line up to receive their weekly dose of taint.
How many lines?
Prepare themselves. They know how to form ranks. They learn that as soldiers.
But what
prepare yourselves for the tainty goodness that will now be poured into your ears. And if you are watching on YouTube, we shall
your eyeballs
double dose into your eyeballs.
I thought it was child friendly like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh,
what
Mr.
in the hiffle?
Go to Mr. C. No, but it's another week, which means it's another episode, which means we've got another tainty topic to try and terrorize.
Stop it.
Who are you?
Serious.
You know who we are now. It's Andrew, Josh, and Daniel. We're here. We're your boys in black. We are from the Black Tower podcast. We are here to give you taint, all of the things that we've already said. But now it's time for us to put on your big Black Tower spoiler condom.
Welcome to the Black Tower. This is your spoiler condom. If you have not read the complete works of Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time, books 1 to 14, and also New Spring, Big Bad Book of White Art, and The Companion, you are at risk of being spoiled. Spoilers come with side effects. These side effects may include headache, nausea, vomiting, death, dizziness, vaginal or penile eruptions and ejaculations, dysentery, cardiac arrhythmia, mild heart explosions, varicose veins, darkened stool, darkened souls, more vomiting, arthritis, hemorrhoids or diabetes, virginity, mild discomfort, vampirism or werewolfism, gender inequality for the whole planet, spontaneous dental hydroplosion, sugar highs, even more vomiting, or maybe just a mild rash. If you cannot deal with these side effects, please leave now for fear of spoilers. You have been warned.
Tonight's topic is all about taking someone's V card and gets very upset when they find out that the V card was taken by someone else.
So tonight's topic, we're going to talk about the artist formerly known as Mirren Aronell, now known as Lanfear.
Luz Theron's craziest of exes.
Not Lanfear. There's no D. There's no D in Lanfear.
Also not man.
One if by land, two if by fear.
Oh, so it's a BTP background breakdown.
Most teenage girls want to be Lanfear. Most teenage boys want to get with Lanfear. And then there's Rand.
She wasn't alone. Digimon comes into play as she was partnering and working with Bidamon. The name is actually Bidamon. It just sounds like a Digimon.
It does. The new power, which I will say out loud, you guys can tell me your thoughts if you want. I think that it was 100% the Dark One being just like, oh, you want better power? I will dangle this true power in front of you and get you to get me out of my prison.
This is a really good time to really differentiate, because I know this is confusing for a lot of the new readers, and even a lot of more experienced readers don't really kind of get this.
I put a line in a song about the true power once, and I felt like a fucking evil bitch.
We're going to see this in the show eventually. I don't know how they're going to do it, but we're going to see it. There is a difference between the one power and the true source. Okay.
No. It's the one power is the true source. The true power
is
the different one.
Is the different one.
And that's where it gets confusing as fuck, because it's the one power and the true source. And then there's the true power, which sounds like it's just a combination of those two things, but it's not, because we have to be as confusing as fucking possible.
Well, just remember, the one power comes from the one and only true source.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to say that this is her first exposure to the influence of the Dark One.
I agree. Yeah.
Now, what happens shortly after that? Luz Theron breaks up with her, falls in love with and marries Ilyena.
Doesn't she, like, after the breakup become like obsessive with acquiring this new source of power?
It happens before.
If I get stronger, Daddy will love me again.
Done with her. Mirren with Boca Korokoman, or whatever his name is, discover this as Mirren throws herself into her research because she is still hopelessly devoted to Luz Theron. And she cannot deal with the fact that Luz Theron has fallen in love with someone else and has moved on with his life. And so on some levels, she can't move on with hers. And so, as many of us have done before when we have a bad breakup, and spoiler alert, kids, if you're not married, and even if you are, as you may end up doing if you have a bad breakup, you throw yourself into your work. And she does. And that is when she discovers and is exposed to the true power, which is, I'm learning so goddamn much tonight.
I need
more shot of here. My brain's starting to hurt.
So they go ahead and make a huge fucky wucky because they don't understand what they're
doing. Fucko boingo?
They don't understand the Dark One's forever box. You know, one of them was like, hey, Mirren, is this a good idea? And Mirren's just like, drill go burr.
You guys really think we should be doing this?
And yes, imagine a little timeless amount of malice and anger and corruption just built up that is released suddenly. And Lanfear, who
just in like
in terms of strings,
just like a handful of strings of just like just right out there.
And you take Lanfear, who is like
right
one
on
of the
Lanfear's
strongest, the Bukkake of taint, if you will. And you have Lanfear there, who is like
necklace of just corruption.
Oh.
You have her, who is like one of the strongest female Aes Sedai, considered to be as strong, essentially, as you can be without the aid of Angreon. So I think that's how she survives physically, but I don't think she survives mentally.
No.
What was her reason for joining? Playing with the adult version of Legos. Just mixing and matching his Barbie dolls and G.I. Joe figurines.
There you go.
What was her reason for joining?
Oh my god.
Does anybody remember?
Agenor is the Sid of
nice. But that's why we do these background breakdowns, because everyone's a victim when it comes to touching the shadow.
Everyone's a victim.
Everyone. When it comes to touching the shadow, shut up.
I love that phrase. That
we find out that from the moment she has been released from the board, other people are like, let me establish a domain to rule, let me establish a safe haven, let me do all this stuff. But Lanfear's like, let me find my boo. Because he didn't want me, 3,000 years ago. Maybe after 3,000 years, his reborn soul has changed his mind.
I can seduce him now. He's a kid.
He kind of did.
I mean, yeah.
I give him too little credit, but also like,
oh, it was it very nearly worked.
And she comes on a little too strong, and he gets a little like weirded out. He's like, "Okay, sexy lady who wants to touch my bits," like. No.
And then we see different people.
we see Kill Shaugi.
For that, we see Sylvie, who is the haggard old woman that appears to Egwene and Teleron Riad.
Yep.
At the heart of the stone is like, oh, this is what Kalendor is.
I forgot about that.
That's right.
then-
She does. Correct. And in fact, there is a woman who's traveling with them that Rand is very suspicious of and even thinks might be who Lanfear is parading as because he knows that she does that shit now. And he's wrong. He's 100% wrong.
He's so wrong.
He's so fucking wrong.
No.
And it's hilarious. It's one of the great reveals in the books because you're like, oh, is Rand right? Is it this super attractive woman? Because Lanfear likes to do that and is trying to get into his bedchamber because she loves Luz Theron. And you're like, no,
Nope.
it's this other person.
Nope.
And
But, yep,
think so.
it's
Yes,
Avienda,
yeah.
Egwene, and Moraine. And
it's
Rand.
those four. Yeah. So she grabs those three and herself and goes, we're going down to the docks. And Rand goes, why? And she goes, I can't tell you that. And he goes,
Just
what else is new?
because.
And then she's like, Egwene and Avienda, you also have to come. And Avienda's like, sure, I guess I'll go if Rand's going. And Egwene goes, I'll go if Moraine's going. So they all go down to the docks. They get down there and Rand goes, what did you want us to see, Moraine? And she goes, I don't know. I just
Wait
need
for
to be
it.
here. And all of a sudden, a wagon explodes. And Lanfear,
Avienda?
well, and Lanfear walks out with the skinned corpse of the man that she
Kaderi.
has been talking. Sorry, of the skin, not the corpse. She left that part behind. She just
the
has
corpse
the
is
skin.
there. The skin.
Yes, the skin of the man that she's been talking to because he has given her information that Avienda has taken Rand's V card and she is
I think it's a
beside
misunderstanding.
herself.
I don't,
Crazy
and literally
ass.
kills the messenger,
Mhm.
explodes the wagon.
So she comes
and
out of the
pops
wagon.
the fuck out, and should get the use if the entire series only gets one use of the F word. It should be Lanfear popping out and going, "Who the fuck
Who the
is
fuck
Avienda?"
is Avienda? At which point, Moraine goes, Leroy Jenkins! And just tackles Lanfear through the redstone Terangrial doorway, and it melts. Lanfear was holding so much of the power,
enough to be yoked.
right? She
Imagine this whole like following sequence from not Avienda's perspective, from Lanfear's perspective. You spent all this time trying to convince your reincarnated boo thing to join with you. You find out that he's been intimate with somebody else, or at least alleged, even though we know it did happen, but she probably doesn't know that it actually happened.
She doesn't need
get
to know. She
tackled.
feels it in her jinglies.
Yeah. You get tackled through a Terangrial that is destroyed in the process. You are captured and fed on by the Fen. And then finally, one of your forsaken partners, kind of partners loosely,
Yeah.
shows up, bargains for your release, and brings you out of the Fen's domain. And you're like, okay, I can get back to it. And then he's just like, dead.
By the way, so she starts not actively like sabotaging, but she's not helping either. She's like,
You said
Well,
in my oaths I couldn't go against you, but you didn't say anything about inactivity fucking you. Dude, everyone switches with Perrin,
I mean,
is Perrin a switch?
especially Fael.
Lila didn't switch with Perrin anymore, so.
Oh,
What you say? Who's gotta die for us?
Dude,
Again, one
she's
of the
a
things
broken
that
woman.
I'm gonna say, I don't
She's
know if
broken.
everybody's gonna agree with me all the time, but one of the things that I'm gonna say about just about
We
all
don't.
of these 13 goddamn Forsaken is that I understand them. I don't agree with their choices. I'm not saying I've always done the right thing every time, but I don't agree with their goddamn choices.
Right.
But the idea that they aren't people who have really messed up and on some levels can't easily turn back because they're in so deep is That is a thing that is a driving force behind all of these Forsaken.
So my final thoughts when it comes to Lanfear is you have a severely broken woman who essentially was taken advantage of.
Oh, 100%.
And she manages to recover somewhat. She's still a very intelligent woman.
Yes.
And she's still, regardless of her situation, has every ability of making sure that her own self-interest is preserved. And she, like the rest of the Forsaken, has her own agenda. But I feel like she is one of the few that have the intelligence, tenacity, and power to actually still work towards that goal, but in a very Gowan-esque way.
You
never makes the choice of being like, I fucked up. Never once looks back and goes, am I the baddie? And so I think that's
no, she knows who she is.
I mean,
she goes, I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Lanfear, the Gowan of the Chosen.
You're adorable. Belal is the Gowan of the Chosen.
Yeah,
come on.
It's true. I don't know. I think it's actually a really great character. It is an amazing character. And I love her contribution to the story overall. And I feel like I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the TV show. I'm here for it. I love it. And so as far as characters go, 10 out of 10. Because
would do again.
Amazing. She's amazing. I love it.
I've mostly
or Daniel. Go.
I was going to say I've mostly given my thoughts. I'm just going to sort of consolidate them for a moment in a handful of sentences. I also agree with Josh. I mean, I love the Forsaken in terms of the fact that I understand the Forsaken. Obviously, I don't love them because they're shadow people, but also
Forsaken did nothing wrong.
I love their characterization. I actually think that every Forsaken that we actually get any kind of deep dive into, I understand. I don't agree with them all, but I do understand them. And I love that. Whenever you can Thanos or, Ronan the Accuser or, any villain that you, or Joker or Bane, any of these villains that you can absolutely understand. I always really appreciate that as far as villains are concerned, because one-dimensional villains are just as bad, if not worse, than one-dimensional protagonists. And I hate it. And I feel like none of the Forsaken are. You go into them deep enough to understand why they made their choices. Don't need to agree with them making that choice, but you understand why they made that choice. And so I love Lanfear above all of the rest. I want to be a Shamael only because I'm not hot enough to be Lanfear. But if I was,
you're only hurting yourself,
woman,
Daniel.
If I was, we're
going to see
Lanfear.
We're going to see you on the silver screen as Morden, and then we'll see Matt Hatch on the screen as Lanfear, and it'll be amazing.
Yes! Oh my God, Matt, get your sexy ass into the show. We can play in scenes with each other. I'll stroke your Corsuvra, and we'll
gently stroke it gently, please.
Oh, gently, very gently. No, but seriously, I honestly think that of all of the Forsaken, Lanfear legitimately is my favorite. She makes all of the wrong choices for all the wrong reasons, and yet every single time I go, yeah, but also like every single time. And I love it. And I love Robert Jordan for that. And I love that his villains are never boring, and I love that. And so Lanfear, I think, is an incredibly well written character. I think, I don't know, I really think that Lanfear is just so well done, even though she is the fucking worst. Like,
That's hard to agree.
My final thoughts are this sentence: I love Lanfear, even though she makes all the wrong decisions for all the wrong reasons. She's the best, even though she's the worst. That's it.
She's the best of the worst.
No, she's the best, even though she's the worst.
Okay.
That's a different statement.
That's fair. That's
It's
fair.
a different statement. It's actually a more intense goddamn statement.
I agree.
Anyway.
Andrew.
Andrew. Where's Rachel? Where's Avienda?
Where are the other drugs?
Where is Avienda?
Somewhere in Virginia. I don't know. I actually have a friend named Rachel that lives in Virginia.
Oddly specific.
And she's in the Navy.
All right then.
I don't know why you're listening to this, but if you are, shout out to you, Rachel.
What's up, Rachel?
Lanfear is that character
baby?
that once you learn kind of her backstory, seems like she should have always been at the top, but is always coming in second or third. And has the power and ability.
Warden,
Yeah.
Tyrann's dead. Sorry.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of thing. And she has the power and ability to be at the top, but can't get past her own desires and devices to move on to where she could be the most successful. Even to a point where
did you just make the point that Lanfear has a block? Holy
mean,
shit!
a self-imposed block for sure. But even when she gets to the point where she finally gets past that block and she can take her rightful spot at the top of things, she still fouls it up. It doesn't work. It doesn't go well. And it's at that point is the only point there at the end with Perrin where you can contribute her failures to honest, bad fucking luck. It is terrible luck for her that her compulsion doesn't work on Perrin. Everything else throughout the series where she fails is her own device. It's a result of her own devices, her own actions, her own failures as an individual, as a Forsaken, as just who she is. But
don't read anything right now. Just keep
yeah, I'm trying not to.
I love you.
But as a character, she's fantastic. I wouldn't give her a 10 out of 10 because she's
smart.
Well, I mean, she kind
Would you
of
give her
gets
just
like
a tip though?
I mean,
you don't have to give her all 10, but like 2, maybe 3.
bold of you to assume there's more than one. It's like an acorn in a forest. But she is an incredible character,
I meant
and
I
love. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just because it's an inch this direction doesn't mean
it's a fucking cheese. It's a fucking cheese wheel, man. Wisconsin is proud.
Can't hit the bottom of a soda can, but you
That's
can knock the sides
Wisconsin's
out.
chode right there. But
Okay.
Lanfear is
Why
super
do we
cool.
do
She
this
provides
to
a lot
each
of
other?
explanation into the Age of Legends, all that kind of fantastic stuff. And it's kind of unfortunate for her that it's at the end of the series that she actually gets past her hangups and becomes effectual and gets defeated by Ta'Veren plot armor / bad luck.
We hope that you leave this episode just a little bit more insane than you were when you started. And from all of us here at the Black Tower, thank you for being here. I have been Josh, your Sorovan Mahale.
And I have been Andrew, your Bijan Mahale.
And I have been Daniel, your oh god, that was adrenaline. Amin Conway.
My tummy hurts. Mahale, help.
What in the Mahale?
And from all of us here at the Black Tower, we absolutely love you guys. You guys are amazing. I know that we say it all the time, but it is 100% true. We love you more at the end of the day than we did when we woke up this morning, and that's exponential. And seriously, we hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing right now when you are listening to this episode, that everything in your life is going your way. And if not, that it all turns around tomorrow. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Always running the show.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain.
You've been having so much trouble just fitting